Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about gentle parenting and respectful parenting, something which has really taken my interest since I had my little boy Kian. If you're new here, my name is Barbie and I'm a first-time mum to a 7-month-old little boy called Kian, and I'm basically documenting my motherhood journey on YouTube, so I'd love for you to subscribe down below and also hit the like button. It really helps out my channel when you hit that like button, so if you're watching now, just go down there and hit it. I would really appreciate it. So yeah, ever since I fell pregnant really, I've been really interested in the idea of gentle and respectful parenting. It's not something that I was really brought up with. I grew up in an Indian household, so when I was growing up there was no choice but to do what you were told, otherwise you would get a thappa around the face, which is a slap, or you'd get chased around with a vellum, which is a rolling pin. And that is how a lot of second generation British Asians are brought up. And you know, we turned out okay, we turned out fine, but now that I've had my son, I would really like to do things differently. So don't get me wrong, I'm no expert on gentle parenting. I'm basically just learning about it and thought I would share some of the things I've picked up. It's basically all about being respectful towards your child, treating them like a person from the day that they're born instead of a baby or a child. And if you can start this from as soon as they're born, it can help to nurture a really lovely, trusting bond between you and your child, and can hopefully help them grow into a really secure and confident young adult. As Kian gets older, I would love for him to feel that he can come to me with anything and that he can trust me. And I also think it's really important for him to feel like a really valued member of our family. Sometimes parenting this way just doesn't come naturally. If it's not how we were brought up, it might feel like we have to force it a bit. So hopefully starting when they're really young as a newborn, will help us also get used to this style of parenting. So here are 10 tips which can help you get started with gentle and respectful parenting as soon as your baby is born. So my first tip is actually stolen from another video which I found on YouTube by SJ over at SJ Strum. I'm going to leave her video link down below. So she said that when your baby is born and you bring them home from hospital, it would be a really nice idea to give them a tour of the house. We did this with Kian and oh my god, it was so lovely, and it was actually really emotional. I'd been carrying him for 9 months and it was so lovely to finally bring him home and let him know that this is where he's going to be living and that it's his home just as much as it is ours. We took him to the kitchen and showed him that this is the table where we're all going to eat dinner together, and we took him around to all the other rooms in the house just to let him get familiar with the space. Obviously he was a newborn, he probably didn't know what was going on, but even for him to just hear our voices, to get used to all the different smells in each room and sounds like the washing machine, so that was really lovely. We also did it when we took him to his grandparents' houses, since he was going to be spending a lot of time there as well. I think even as a parent, it's just so nice to do because it helps you realize that, you know, you're sharing your house with someone else now. You've got a new housemate, and it all just ties into respectful parenting and also makes you realize that nothing is yours anymore now that you've got a child. Tip number 2 is to make sure that you're always using your baby's name rather than calling them the baby or a little nickname. Try and use their name as much as possible. Firstly, it will help them get familiar with their name. We do have a few nicknames for Kian, but I realized that when he was born, sometimes I would refer to him as the baby rather than Kian. I would say, give me the baby, or put the baby over there. And it's just not very nice to refer to your baby as an it rather than a person. So now I do make an effort to try and call him by his name as much as possible. Tip number 3 is a really important one, and it's kind of the reason why I started researching into different parenting styles, and that is to reflect back onto your own childhood. Think about how your parents made you feel. This can be quite hard, and there were some things that I ended up actually talking to my mum about and asking her, like, why did you choose to parent us in this way? And it was really interesting, really eye-opening, and it made me feel a lot of empathy towards my parents and also the way they were brought up. I mean, parenting styles are usually passed down from generation to generation, a lot of the time completely subconsciously. Even if there's things that you didn't like about the way your parents parented you, subconsciously you'll probably end up doing that to your kids. You basically don't want to pass all that baggage onto your kids, so it's really important to take some time to think about your childhood. Then if you catch yourself reacting or parenting in a certain way and it's not positive, it's not something you want to do, you can actually recognize it and stop it. It's really important not to shush your baby. I'm not talking about when you're trying to soothe them and get to sleep. I'm talking about those times where they'll do a big scream or they'll just be shouting for no reason. It's really early in the morning and you haven't had your coffee yet and you're just like, shh, please be quiet. I was doing this all the time to Kian, and then I realized like I'm basically telling him to shut up, which is horrible, especially since he can't talk, and his shouts and screams are his only way to communicate to me. So now instead of shushing, I try and engage in a conversation with him. I'll ask him what's up. Another thing you might do instead is give your baby a dummy or a pacifier to stop them making noise. And again, you're essentially telling them to shut up, and it's really important for your baby to feel that their communication is valued and important to you. Again, it's just part of building that really strong bond with them and for them to be able to trust you and be open with you. So a lot of gentle and respectful parenting is about communication between you and your child, having that back and forth. So my next tip is to make sure that you're pausing. A lot of the time we can start talking or playing with our babies and we forget to give them that time to respond back to us or to take everything in. It would be like someone being in your face all the time, just blah 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 blah, and not giving you a chance to reply or constantly talking over you. So when you're speaking to your baby or playing with them, make sure you're giving them enough time to take in everything that you've said, let them think about it, and sometimes respond if they're old enough, maybe even with just a little ga or ooh. It's still communication and it will make them feel valued. My next tip again is something which you can start doing as soon as your baby is born, and that is communicating with them while you're going through the motions of the day. This is just a really good habit to get into to help you as parents remember that your baby is an actual person and not just a baby or an it. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it does feel really forced, really awkward. Your baby can't speak back to you, so you're essentially just talking to yourself. Now that Kian's 6 months, he's really starting to pick up on everything that I'm saying. He's able to link certain phrases with certain actions. So now I'll always ask permission before I start changing his nappy. It's just a really nice thing to do. If someone was going to come and start changing your clothes, you'd probably want them to ask permission before they start as well. Another thing I've started doing is telling Kian what's about to happen. Babies are so helpless and I feel a bit sorry for them just being taken around from place to place. So it's nice to give them a bit of warning. If I'm going to pick Kian up off the floor, I'll tell him, Kian, I'm going to pick you up off the floor now, and then I'll have a little pause, make sure that he's taken in what I've just said, and then I'll go ahead and pick him up. While you're doing the action, it's also nice to reiterate what you're doing just to help them with their language and get familiar with that phrase. So I'll say, Mummy's picking you up off the floor now. Tip number 7 is a really hard one, and I am by no means a saint at doing this, but I do try my very best, and that is to stay off your phone, your laptop, or watching any type of screen while you're with your baby. From a really young age, a baby is going to pick up on the fact that whatever you're looking at on your phone or on your laptop is more important to you than what they have to say or their time with you. It's basically like going to lunch with a friend and them just spending the whole time sitting on their phone. Like, how would that make you feel? That's exactly how your baby's going to feel. So what I try and do is put my phone on the side. If Kian is awake and wants to play, then that is dedicated time with him, and I will sometimes set an alarm for like 10 or 15 minutes just to make sure that I'm giving him my undivided attention for that time. If I need to get stuff done, I will do that while Kian is awake. If I need to wash the dishes or fold some laundry, I find that sometimes it's even better for me to get some chores done while Kian is awake rather than spending time sitting on my phone, which I can do in his nap time. At least if I'm doing chores, I can get him involved in them. I can let him fill the laundry, or I can tell him what dishes I'm washing, and he can feel involved. When you're looking at your phone, they're not going to feel involved at all. They're just going to be curious as to what you're looking at, and they're going to be sad that they can't look at it as well. And it just means that as soon as they get a phone, they're going to feel like it's acceptable for them to be on it all of the time as well. I know that it's really difficult, trust me, I know, but it's just about making the effort. And if you get into the habit of not looking at your phone when you're with them when they're young, it will hopefully be easier as they get older. Tip number 8 is a really nice one, and it is just to give your baby choice as you go through the day. Let them decide what they want to wear or what they would like to eat. I will always ask Kian what he would like for dinner, even though I know he's not going to reply to me, but I just think it's a nice thing to do. Again, it reminds you that they're an actual little person. So that's just a really simple way that you can incorporate respectful parenting into your day. Number 9 is also a really lovely one. I'm pretty sure I heard this on a podcast somewhere, and it's basically to just always be happy when you greet your child. Always act like you're over the moon to see them, that they're the greatest thing that's ever walked into a room. It always feels nice when someone greets you warmly, and when someone's excited to see you, it just makes you feel really happy and really wanted, and that's exactly how I'd love my child to feel every time I see him. Sometimes my mum will answer the phone and literally just be like, what? and I'm always like, that's so rude and mean. So that's not something I want to pass on to my kids. I always want to be really happy when I see Kian. Lastly, number 10 is something which I just randomly did one day and thought it was so nice that I'm going to carry on doing it. There was this one day and I just had the most amazing day with Kian. As a mum, you have those days where you just feel like, oh, I love you so much, we've had such a brilliant day together. And as I was putting him to sleep, I just told him, I've had such a nice day with you today, I've really enjoyed it, I can't wait to see you tomorrow and play with you tomorrow. And I just thought it was such a nice thing to say, to make him know that parenting hasn't been a chore today and that I've actually enjoyed being with you and being in your presence and playing with you. So that's something that I try and do every night now if I remember. So those are my 10 gentle parenting and respectful parenting ideas that you can try with your newborn baby. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do make sure you hit the like button down below and let me know if there's any other things which you do with your newborn or baby. If you are interested in this type of parenting, I would really recommend SJ's channel. I'll leave it linked down below. And there's also a book I'm listening to at the moment, which is where I got a few of these tips from, and it's called The Book You Wish Your Parents Had Read. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.